Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06 here on O'Connor and Company on a busy Monday morning, the second day of December. It feels like we're already well into the week with this news cycle and the cascade of major breaking stories over the weekend, beginning with the announcement that Kash Patel has now been tapped to be the new director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And then last night's not so stunning, but still absolutely maddening announcement from President Joe Biden that he will offer a full and unconditional pardon to his son for any crimes that he may have committed, going all the way back to January 1st, 2014 through yesterday. That includes 3 years and 10 months of the Biden presidency.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just waiting for Joe.
That's right. All of that leads us to Joe diGenova. Joe, I mean, begin wherever you'd like. Take it away. I mean, first of all, congratulations. This validates not only what you said that Joe Biden would do this, but also I think that this validates for all of us, all of the crimes and everything that we have been looking at that Hunter Biden's been involved with, that the propaganda press, Joe Biden himself, every Democrat who enables him, and sadly many Republicans in this town have said, no, there's nothing wrong with what Hunter did. No, this is all a witch hunt against the Bidens. It's all political. Well, no pardon needed if it's all political. Right, Joe?
Well, he pardoned his co-conspirator in the greatest shakedown of foreign leaders and foreign companies in history. Look at the starting date of the pardon. It starts in 2014. January of 2014, shortly thereafter, Hunter Biden goes on the board of Burisma.
Yep.
When he starts shaking down the company, people in Ukraine, when Joe Biden threatens the president, if you don't fire the prosecutor, I'm going to, Victor Shokin, I'm going to hold back $1 billion in loan guarantees. Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of the United States. He confirms it by pardoning his co-conspirator, his criminal co-conspirator. It's unbelievable that a president of the United States, and remember, he's president until January 20th, 2025. He's still there. He can still do damage. He's already fomenting war. The only thing that's missing is pestilence. I mean, he's ready to bring us the apocalypse. The guy is unbelievable.
Joe,
everything he touches turns to crap.
Yeah, you just said that he pardoned his co-conspirator, and it's fair to say that there is definitely evidence to suggest that Joe Biden benefited financially greatly from his son's illegal activities that have just been pardoned by Joe Biden. So my question here is, now that Hunter Biden has a complete and unconditional pardon, if a U.S. attorney were to call him in to testify about what his father involvement was, Hunter Biden cannot claim the fifth now. Is that correct?
He can't, he's not going to be able to indict Joe Biden because the fact is that the things that Joe Biden did were official acts. The withholding of the loan guarantee, regardless of the reason, the motivation. By the way, the Trump presidential immunity case in the Supreme Court protects him from being indicted about that. But that doesn't mean other people who were involved in the scheme couldn't be indicted. There were people all over the place that knew that Biden was being shaken down. People in the State Department, people on the National Security Council. This should be investigated. There should be subpoenas going out. And the first subpoena should go to Barack Obama. You think Barack Obama didn't know that Biden was shaking down people? Biden admitted that he was shaking down people. And what did Barack Obama do about it? Absolutely nothing. And by the way, it gets the first subpoena not because of Biden, but because in January 2017, when he had that meeting with Joe Biden, James Comey, John Brennan, Sally Yates, the acting attorney general of the United States, and Susan Rice wrote her famous memo that President Obama said he wanted everything done by the book in the investigation of Donald Trump and the Russians. First subpoena goes to Barack Obama.
Do you think, Joe, this is why we are starting to see the panic about Kash Patel? I'd love to get your answer on that, but also what are your predictions for Kash Patel and him being approved by the Senate?
Well, first of all, it is the reason that you're seeing panic because the people, and it isn't the rank and file agents for the most part. It's the people on the seventh floor
Right.
and inside the Justice Department. I mean, the issue is very, very simple. The FBI was corrupted by Christopher Wray, and here's the scary part. Overnight, Senator Mike Rounds, who is a Republican senator from Oklahoma, said that Christopher Wray has always been a great FBI director and is exactly what the Bureau needs.
Ugh.
Now, this guy's going to be sitting in judgment of Kash Patel. This worries me immensely. Rounds can't be that stupid. He cannot be that stupid. And if he is one of the people who prevents Kash Patel from becoming the next FBI director, he will pay for this politically. And it will happen in Oklahoma, I can assure you. You can't be that dumb. He's got something. The Bureau has to have something on Senator Rounds.
Yep.
Joe, actually, earlier in the program, I said that after what we just saw from Joe Biden, it's full validation for every single one of Donald Trump's unconventional cabinet selections. This is exactly why we need new blood, and we need people who are not part of the problem, that are outside of the problem, that have the wherewithal to be able to fix it. When a Republican senator comes out and is suspicious or hesitant about whether Kash Patel should be nominated, at this point, Joe, I assume that person's part of the problem. The only reason they don't want Kash Patel in there is because they got a nice little thing going.
I can't imagine what would make Senator Rounds from Oklahoma, a Republican, say what he said. First of all, it is so obvious from watching.
Can I just before we, because my wife is from Oklahoma, I think he's from South Dakota. I don't want to, because
I thought it was a.
Well, because the two senators from from Oklahoma are Lankford and Mullins. So I just want to make sure.
No,
that's all right.
South
No, you're
Dakota.
right, because we called out Senator Rounds earlier as well, but I just want to make sure Oklahoma gets a clean slate. Go ahead, Joe.
My fault. First of all, for anybody to observe the tenure of Christopher Wray, with all of the scandals, and him never doing anything about any of it, other than late in the game, not even decrying it, but saying it was an isolated problem that's been taken care of. There has never been a more out-of-touch FBI director who's talk about an empty suit. It's just remarkable. But it's the thing that bothers me is that a senator could look at him and look at the record and say that, after the raids on Christian homes, the prosecution of pro-lifers, the insanity of the search of Mar-a-Lago and no objection being raised by the FBI director.
Yeah.
Does anybody think that would have happened if Christopher Wray had said to Merrick Garland, Mr. Attorney General, you may have technical reason to do this, but you really shouldn't do this for the good of the country. Where was Christopher Wray? What is Senator Rounds thinking of?
We got so much to get to with Joe diGenova, with the pardon and with the nomination of Kash Patel and other aspects of this transition. Joe, can you stick with us for one more segment, please, sir?
Oh, I sure can.
Thanks, big guy. 7:15.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live.
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Upgrade to a new walk-in shower from Long Baths. Call now to get your free estimate today.
Joe diGenova continues. I called him the big guy, but not the big guy, and let's just be clear on that. But I've got a couple of questions for you. The first is, you said that because of the immunity decision on Donald Trump, that anything that Joe Biden did as an official act is free of any sort of prosecutorial scrutiny. But what if he executed an act for the sole purpose of personal gain and profit? Basically, you can do something as president or vice president in your official role, and even if there is clear evidence that the reason you did it was so that you could personally, financially gain from it to the tune of millions of dollars, that's still fine?
Well, the thing that's about this is you get complete immunity for core presidential acts, which the loan guarantee is not. You get presumptive immunity for acts like the one involving Ukraine. And so there could be an investigation, and whether or not there would be charges would remain to be seen. It would be a difficult case to make because he has the patina of official conduct and was given. Remember, Barack Obama gave him the portfolio to manage Ukraine.
Yeah.
And he can say and do things within that are obnoxious and horrible, but that we would accept as part of the process of nasty foreign relations things. But it would be a difficult case. I'm not saying it wouldn't be worth doing, but you got to have the right kind of special counsel to do all of this, and we'll see whether or not they get
sort of
that
a
far.
thread and needle there for the 4 years when he wasn't vice president and wasn't president.
That's
the family made money, and then that involved his influence. Okay.
And by the way, you don't have to be he personally did not have to receive a single cent, as long as members of his family.
Absolutely.
The bribery statute is written in such a way that they Congress thought of this, said, well, the guy's not dumb enough to take the money himself. He's going to make sure the money goes to his family members. That was a violation of the bribery statute, what he did with his son.
That's right.
Because the shakedown occurred, family members got the money. That's bribery under the federal bribery statute.
Right. I used to make the analogy when people would say, it's like, okay, you team up with your son to rob a bank, but your son keeps all the money. You're still guilty of robbing the bank. All right.
That's correct.
Joe, I was told that Donald Trump keeps nominating people who are unqualified for their positions. Kash Patel, FBI director. He's a former assistant attorney. He worked in the Justice Department as a lawyer. He was then the head
deputy at ODNI.
Deputy at the Director of National Intelligence. He was also the top staff member for the House Intelligence Committee and then chief of staff at the Pentagon. Seems like that's a pretty good resume to be director of the FBI, but I'm told now because he's never been an FBI agent, he is disqualified from the job. Could you chime in on that new criteria?
Well, Judge Webster, who was head of the FBI, had never been an FBI agent. Christopher Wray had never been an FBI agent. The only FBI
J.
agent
Edgar Hoover had never been an FBI agent because there was no FBI when J. Edgar Hoover took over the FBI.
Yeah, well, they're going to think of anything they can. And remember, Democrats do not care about the logic of what they're doing. The only thing they want to do is scream and yell. And certainly be vindictive and nasty and vicious during the confirmation process. You watch Dick Durbin during these hearings. He's very soft-spoken, but he is one of the nastiest people ever to be in the United States Senate. And I hope that Senator Kennedy takes him down the way somebody like Senator Durbin should be taken down.
By the way, Morning Joe has been wall-to-wall Kash Patel all morning long. Nothing on the pardons that I've seen except a quick mention at the top of the show. And one of the things that is the major objection to Kash Patel is that he has said in the past that things need to be investigated. Stuff that went on with Russian collusion, with a laptop, with censorship, the use of the FBI to delete or to ban people from social media, the Jeffrey Epstein thing, all of this stuff. And that's all being characterized as Kash Patel and Donald Trump will use the FBI to seek revenge on their political opponents. Can you sort of divine through and give us the truth on this? If you're utilizing your job as FBI director to seek out corruption and criminal behavior, even if you were the target or the new president was the target of that criminal behavior, that's not revenge. That's still seeking justice, isn't it?
You see, by the Democrats' logic, it's okay to make up a case against Donald Trump while you're in the Oval Office sitting there with Barack Obama did. They made up a case against Donald Trump and pursued it. They're fine with that. But when you have actual violations of the law, like the shakedown in Ukraine and the shakedown scheme that President Biden and others did, and the other crimes that were committed in the name of law enforcement by Christopher Wray, the FBI, and Merrick Garland, that's different, because then all of a sudden you're being vindictive, and it's retribution to go after people who engaged in actual criminal activity. The most important thing about all of that is to simply ignore it. You simply ignore what the Democrats are saying, because they are in a protection mode at this point. And no matter what some of these other Democrats who say, I was listening to some guy over the weekend talk about how it was important for the Democrats to learn a new message. Their problem isn't their messaging. Their problem is their ideas and what they do and what they believe in. They believe in shutting you up. They don't want you to have free speech. They did everything they could to shut up Republicans and conservatives in 2020.
That's right.
And if they had the power to do it, they would do it again. That's why it's so important to have accountability, not retribution, legal and political accountability. That's what this election was about. The American people rejected the type of retributive justice that Garland and Biden and Christopher Wray were in charge of. And they rejected men in women's sports across the board.
Really, really quickly, Jake Sullivan and others this weekend have been saying things like, "Oh, the FBI has to remain independent." When in the world? Where are they getting this, Joe?
Well, Jake Sullivan is one of the dumbest people ever to be in government. All you have to do is watch him and listen to him. Between him and Blinken and Biden, the disaster that they had created in foreign policy, a war in the Middle East, a war in Asia. I mean, you cannot be as bad as they are. And John McCain had it right. He said Anthony Blinken should be nowhere near the State Department.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that speech on the Senate floor because he had worked with Blinken on the Foreign Relations Committee and knew that Blinken was an idiot,
and
an empty suit.
And look where we are after nearly 4 years of him running the State Department. Joe diGenova, always great to talk with you. I was sleepless last night knowing that we would get your opinion on all these things. Some call it raw red meat from Joe diGenova, but I call it a fine steak tartare. Thank you, Joseph.
All right. Thank you.
It is 7:23.